Hey, my name's Marissa. I'm 30 years old, and I have a 7-year-old son named Jason. The last few months have been the most trying for us because of what I found out about my now ex-husband Damien. Before I get into the whole thing, let me just tell you a little about Damien and me. We met when we were in high school. Damien was the popular jock, and I was an outcast. One thing about my high school experience was that I was an outcast only because I had a bully. Her name was Nikki, and she bullied me a lot. When I say bullied, I'm not talking about name-calling or embarrassing me in public. What I mean is that she actively sought to make my life a living nightmare. She physically hurt me, made everyone hate me and bully me too, stole my things and got me in trouble with the school on more occasions than I can count on both hands. I can't even begin to unpack the amount of trauma I have thanks to her. Anyway, Damien and I ended up getting paired to do some project together, and even though I was fully expecting him to bully me into doing his entire share, he surprised me by being nice to me. I guess he saw that there was more to me than what everybody else at school saw, and he began to hang out with me a lot more. Initially, that made Nikki bully me even more because she liked Damien. But he stood up for me, and Nikki eventually backed off. Yes, I know this sounds like some movie plot, but it was my reality, and I would give anything to have not lived it. Damien and I started dating after we graduated high school, and we chose to attend colleges in our state. Nikki followed Damien to his college and tried her best to get him to be with her, but Damien made it very clear that he did not like her, especially after he found out how traumatized I was because of her. Nikki transferred to another college after that, and that was pretty much the end of that. I still had a lot to work out, and Damien was my biggest support. He helped me rebuild my self-esteem, and I was sure that I was going to marry him one day. After we graduated college, we moved in together, and only a year later, I got pregnant. We decided that we should get married and had a small, intimate wedding ceremony with only our closest friends and family. By that point, Damien's family had become mine, and mine his. It was the second happiest day of my life, second only to the birth of my son Jason. It was hard for Damien and me to juggle work and raise Jason, but we made it work. Damien began to work with his stepfather, so he had a lot more flexibility with his timings. Even so, we divided our responsibilities equally between us. Over the next 6 to 7 years, I began to rapidly climb the corporate ladder. I quickly began earning a little more than Damien, and we were living very comfortably. I was beyond happy with my success and didn't think there was anything more that I could do. That was until one day my boss had me and another coworker stay back to tell us that we were being considered for a promotion, but only one of us would get it. Unfortunately, to get that promotion, we'd need to prove all of our abilities, including meeting with clients from all over the country and negotiating deals accordingly. I was worried about how that would affect Damien and Jason. When I walked home that day, Damien immediately knew that something was wrong. "You look tired, darling. Tough day at work?" "You have no idea. Where's Jason?" "Don't worry. I bathed and fed him. And it was getting late, so I put him to bed." Nikki transferred to another college after that, and that was pretty much the end of that. I still had a lot to work out, and Damien was my biggest support. He helped me rebuild my self-esteem, and I was sure that I was going to marry him one day. After we graduated college, we moved in together, and only a year later, I got pregnant. We decided that we should get married and had a small, intimate wedding ceremony with only our closest friends and family. By that point, Damien's family had become mine, and mine his. It was the second happiest day of my life, second only to the birth of my son Jason. It was hard for Damien and me to juggle work and raise Jason, but we made it work. Damien began to work with his stepfather, so he had a lot more flexibility with his timings. Even so, we divided our responsibilities equally between us. Over the next 6 to 7 years, I began to rapidly climb the corporate ladder. I quickly began earning a little more than Damien, and we were living very comfortably. I was beyond happy with my success and didn't think there was anything more that I could do. That was until one day my boss had me and another coworker stay back to tell us that we were being considered for a promotion, but only one of us would get it. Unfortunately, to get that promotion, we'd need to prove all of our abilities, including meeting with clients from all over the country and negotiating deals accordingly. I was worried about how that would affect Damien and Jason. When I walked home that day, Damien immediately knew that something was wrong. "You look tired, darling. Tough day at work?" "You have no idea. Where's Jason?" "Don't worry. I bathed and fed him. And it was getting late, so I put him to bed." "Thanks a lot, sweetie. I feel bad that I didn't get to spend much time with him today." "Hey, You're working to provide a better future for him. I'm sure he'll understand that. Yeah, well, I doubt that. What do you mean? What's going on? My boss told me today that I'm up for a huge promotion. What? That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. Hold on, darling, I'm not done. But to get that promotion, I'll have to take up more responsibilities, one of which is traveling to meet with our clients. Oh. Yeah, I told him that I'd need a day or two to decide because I didn't want to decide without asking you. You should definitely take it. Wow. That was enthusiastic. Oh, come on, sweetie, don't take it the wrong way. I only said it that way because I know how hard you've been working. This is just a small hurdle for you to pass. This would be a huge boost to your self-esteem, and you know it. Yeah, but what about Jason? I won't be able to spend much time with him, and you'll have to be a solo parent for a long while. Gee, I wonder if I'll be able to parent my son for a week or two, especially since I've never done it before. Don't be sarcastic, I'm being serious. Sweetie, we'll be fine. Like I said, Jason will be happy just to spend even 10 minutes with you. And even if he isn't right now, he'll be very thankful for your hard work when he's one of the few kids who'll be able to get through college without debt on his head. You're right, the new position would come with a lot more benefits and I would hate to lose it. It's settled then. You're going to work really hard to get this promotion and then we're all going to be better for it. To celebrate, you're sure you'll be okay with this? It's going to be hard to get used to a new routine, especially since we've been following our current one since Jason was born. Don't overthink this. We're a team, and we'll get through this. Now, why don't you take a shower while I reheat your dinner? All right. In hindsight, I should have been alarmed about how quickly Damien told me to accept the challenge for my promotion. Usually, whenever we had big decisions to make, we'd sit and talk about it for hours. But Damien had not even given it any proper thought before deciding that it was okay. Anyway, at that time, I was glad that Damien was so understanding and supportive of my dreams. I began to travel a lot after that. I'd usually be gone at least 2 weeks in the month, not consecutively but alternately. When I was home for the week, I made sure to spend as much time as I could with Jason, especially because I began to notice that he was behaving oddly. Jason was a very lively kid, and after I started traveling, he became a lot quieter. He didn't smile as much as he used to, and it crushed me. I couldn't help but feel like I was the reason for it. I remember talking to Damien about this, and he'd always comfort me and tell me that Jason was just adjusting to the new changes. Thinking about it now that I know the truth, it makes my blood boil because Damien knew the actual reason for Jason's change in mood and he just let me take the fall for it while also not helping Jason out in any way. One week, it so happened that I had to travel again. This was a rather last-minute trip, so I barely had any time to inform Jason. Right before I left, I called Jason out of his room to tell him about my trip. Jason, sweetie, come here. Yes, Mom? I'll be leaving for a week. I have a business trip and even though I really don't want to go, I have to. You'll be staying with Dad, but I'll make sure that I call you every day, okay? Do you have to go, Mom? Can't you stay? Like I said, sweetie, I really don't want to go. But I have to. If it was up to me, I'd spend all my time with you. Then can I at least stay with Grandma? Grandma is also not at home. What's wrong? Sweetie? Why do you want to stay with Grandma? Dad is here and you love spending time with him. He promised me that he'll spoil you. Mom, oh sweetie, what's wrong? Don't cry. I promised you that I'll be back before you know it. Mom, please don't leave me alone here. Take me with you. I promise I'll be a good boy, please. Whoa, what do you mean you want to come with me? Sweetie, I can't take you with me. Why do you not want to stay here? This is your home, darling, and you won't be alone. You have Dad. Yes, but she makes me sleep in the basement at night, and it's so scary. I've been doing my best to be a good boy, but I can't anymore. Sweetie, what are you talking about? Dad made me promise him that I wouldn't say anything, but I can't. She's horrible, Mom. I can't sleep in that basement anymore. Who is she, darling? Do you know her name? No, I just know that she comes here every time you go out for a long time. She doesn't feed me or food and she forces me to sleep in the basement. I have like a million nightmares and I can't do it, Mom. Okay, sweetie, calm down. Could you answer just one more question for me? How long has this lady been coming over? Since May, after your birthday. Dad always leaves, but it's still so scary, Mom. 10-12. You're a very brave boy, sweetie. I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. And I promise that if I knew this was happening, I would never have let it continue. Are you going to take me with you, Mom? Oh, sweetie, I can't, but I'll be back in a few hours. Don't tell Dad anything, okay? I'm going to protect you and I'll make sure that you're safe. Promise me that you'll come back soon, Mom. Promise. Now just pretend like we didn't have this conversation, okay? Yes. My head was swimming with questions, and my heart was racing. I had no reason to doubt my son Jason. He was only 7, and with the way I've raised him, he's never lied to me about anything so serious. Even if he was lying, I'd be able to tell, but the look of horror in his eyes told me that he was telling the truth. I had no idea who this woman was that Damien was bringing home. Why in the world was there even another woman at home? And why was Damien not saying anything to her when she was locking our son up in the basement? I got into my car and I pulled out of the driveway. I drove for 10 minutes to absolutely nowhere in particular before calling my boss and telling her that I had a family emergency so I couldn't make the trip. I waited for another 20 minutes before driving back home. When I got back home, I saw that there was another car in our driveway. I quietly entered the house and the first thing I did was go down to the basement. It was locked. I had a spare key to the basement on me at all times, so I unlocked it. Jason was sitting on the air mattress with tears running down his face. It broke my heart to see him so scared when he saw me. He nearly screamed with joy, but I told him to keep quiet. I dried his tears and asked him if he was hurt. When he told me he was all right, I told him to wait for me in the car because I had something to take care of. He nodded and left. I set my phone on audio recording and walked upstairs to Damien's in my bedroom. I heard creaking and I wanted to throw up in my mouth, both from the thought of what was going on in there and from the anxiety of who was behind that door. I opened the door and before I could even say anything, I saw who Damien was with and my heart shattered. There was my husband in bed with my high school bully Nikki. I must have gasped out loud because very quickly, Damien and Nikki rushed to cover themselves up. Marissa, what are you doing here? I forgot to take my phone and came back home to get it. What is going on here? Nothing. Don't even begin to lie to me. Why is Nikki in our house, and more importantly, why are you in bed with her? Are you upset, Marissa? I mean, I told you that Damien would get bored of you and I'd be the one he'd come to in the end. I'm not talking to you, Nikki. Damien, answer me. What is going on? How long have you been cheating on me? It hasn't been that long. Why are you so afraid to tell her the truth? Damien, be honest. We've been seeing each other for over a year now, but I've only been coming over to your place for the last 2 months. It's a shame you aren't traveling that much either, or I would have been over a lot more often. You've been cheating on me for over a year now, Damien. Why? What did I ever do to make you cheat on me? I don't know. I was feeling alone. And I guess Nikki was there for me. And how did you even meet her again? I was out with my friends for a drink. And she happened to be there too. We got to talking and I guess things escalated from there. So instead of talking to me, you decided to sleep with someone else. I know I messed up. Messed up doesn't even begin to cover the surface of what you've done. You put our child in danger just so you could sleep with another woman. You're disgusting. Don't make him feel bad. You're the reason this is happening. If you'd only paid more attention to him, your marriage would still be intact. You have no right to say anything, Nikki. Stay out of this. You're just as despicable as you were back in high school. Breaking up a marriage is not something to be proud of. You were the one who endangered my son, and you clearly feel no remorse for it. Please, I didn't endanger your son. He was just locked in the basement, where there was no way for him to get hurt. I'm not an idiot. You're right, neither of you are idiots. You're worse than that. Look, can we just talk about this? Isa, what's there to talk about? You are cheating on me with the most vile person on earth, and you traumatized our son in the process. Can we just work this out? You're right. I should have talked to you about how I felt instead of finding solace somewhere else. I regret my decision. Oh well. Regardless of how Damien feels, I do not regret this affair at all, Nikki. Please stay out of this for my sake, Marissa. Maybe we could go to couples counseling or something. Please don't leave me. You mean the world to me. If I meant the world to you, you wouldn't have cheated on me. I want nothing to do with you, okay? Could you at least keep this whole affair a secret? Please don't tell anyone anything. You're despicable, Damien. Marissa, wait, I was seething with rage. I walked out of the room before I did something I was sure to regret. I got into the car, made sure Jason was buckled in, and drove away. Damien tried to run after us, but that was obviously not efficient for him. Jason was silent the entire time, but I'm sure he knew that something was horribly wrong. The worst part about Damien's affair was not even the fact that he was cheating on me with Nikki, but it was the fact that he let Nikki treat our child so horribly. That was what made me see red. Even though I was very angry, I knew that Jason and I needed a safe space to be in, so I went over to my parents' house. They immediately sensed that something was horribly wrong. My mom kept Jason occupied while my dad and I talked. I told him about everything that happened, and to say he was furious would be the understatement of the century. My mom wasn't any better when she found out either. The two of them had built a lot of connections over the last few decades, and they helped me get in touch with an amazing lawyer who was known to be scary. I immediately filed for divorce and wanted it with full custody of Jason. When Damien found out about it, he called me several times to try and get me to change my mind, but I refused. I didn't care about what a good dad he was before I found out about his affair, because I saw that if he had something he considered more important, he would have abandoned Jason in a heartbeat. I was not. I'm not going to let him have any custody of my son, and I'm lucky that my state favored mothers. While the divorce was in process, one day I got a call from Damien's mother, Jenny. Jenny and I had a great relationship, so I was beyond surprised when I heard what she had to say. As soon as I picked up the call, "Hello, Jenny. I hope you know that I think you're a disgusting woman for what you did to Damien." "Excuse me? You broke up your family because you just had to cheat, and now you're not letting my son have any custody of his child. That's horrible. I never expected you to be like this, Jenny. I don't know what Damien told you, but I can assure you that's not what happened. Of course, you're trying to play dumb. You know, I could very easily make your life a living hell. I know a lot of parents in this district because of work, and I could very easily ruin your reputation. Okay, you need to calm down. Tell me what Damien told you, then listen to my side. I have no reason to hear your side out. You do, because I was not the one that cheated and broke up the family. Damien was. Do you want proof? Because I just sent you a recording of the day that I caught Damien and Nikki, yes, my high school bully Nikki, in bed." "What?" Apparently, Damien felt neglected because I was focusing on work too much, and instead of talking to me, he decided to sleep with the one person that ruined my childhood. Oh my God, sweetie. I'm so sorry for everything I said. Damien has been staying with us, and he looks crushed. I just assumed that whatever he was saying was the truth, because why wouldn't I? Plus, you know how bad my relationship with Damien's father was, and that's the reason I have such strong feelings about cheating. I had no idea. I didn't say anything because I didn't want anybody else involved in this. It's embarrassing enough for me, and bringing more people into it was not what I was looking for. I fully support you, Marissa. Once again, I'm so sorry for everything I said. I should have heard you out. I just never expected Damien to lie. Why would he even lie? Well, for starters, you hate cheaters with a passion, so you would not have taken the truth well. And secondly, he works for your husband, and he's probably scared that the truth would cost him his job. There, you're right. Well, I want you to know that just because he's my son, he's not going to get treated any differently. You just let me know if you need help with anything at all. I promise you that I'll keep Jason away from Damien. If you need me to babysit too, I'll help you do whatever it takes to get the justice you deserve." "Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that a lot. Keep me updated on everything, and I'll do the same with you. You're a strong woman. I'm so sorry that you've had to go through all of this." "It's alright. I guess I could just consider this another life lesson that was meant to toughen me up. Take care then." I don't think it was possible for me to get even angrier with Damien, but there I was. How could he possibly lie like that? He knew how much Jenny hated cheaters. Damien's father cheated on Jenny when Damien was only a few months old, and even though Jenny gave him chance after chance, he continued to do it. He made Jenny give up her career so she could take care of Damien, which only ensured that she had nowhere else to go. Even if he was messing up, needless to say, getting out of that relationship was a huge struggle for Jenny. That was why she could not stand cheaters in any capacity. She always did everything in her power to make sure that her family and friends remained in the right when it came to that. So, if that meant hurting someone, she was ready to do that. Damien knew that, and he was ready to jeopardize Jason's and my life over it. Over the next few days, Jenny kept me updated on what was happening at their place since Damien was living with them. Jenny had told her husband about the truth, and he was disgusted with Damien. Apparently, Damien had been slacking off at work for a long time, but his stepdad only kept him on the job because he knew Damien had to take care of Jason. Finding out that Damien was cheating on me with someone who'd harmed me and hurt Jason in the process made him see red, and he decided to fire Damien. Jenny also kicked Damien out but did not entirely cut him off because she was still his mother at the end of the day. I didn't mind that, but I was glad that Damien was facing even more consequences. What made me even happier was learning that Jenny also made sure that Nikki learned a lesson. Nikki was working as a substitute at another school in the neighboring district, and since Jenny is higher up in the ranks, she managed to pull some strings and expose Nikki's past actions along with her current ones with Damien. Needless to say, Nikki lost her job too. It didn't take long for Damien to call me, and I picked up the phone only because I wanted to know what more he possibly had to say. "What have you done? What are you talking about? Don't play dumb right now. Marissa, you told my family about my affair. You know how strongly my mom feels about 24/4 cheating. Your mom called me to tell me I was disgusting for breaking the family apart because you told her that I was the one having an affair. I just set the record straight. What happened to keeping things that happened between us to ourselves? I thought you wanted nothing to do with me. So why did you have to tell my mother the truth? You're kidding, right? Your mother teaches at Jason's school, and the last thing I wanted was for word to get out there that I was a horrible person. You couldn't deal with a simple lie. You already took my son away from me and nearly landed me in jail. This was the least you could have done for me. Why do I have to put up with a lie when I put up with yours for more than a year? Do you even know how disgusting and hurtful it was to find out that you were with the one person who had tormented me growing up? Did you say anything when Nikki locked our son in the basement so you two could sleep together? No, you didn't, did you? Do or say anything when Nikki was constantly making fun of me when I caught you too? Because I clearly remember you not saying anything. So why should I have done anything nice for you? I get it, I'm a horrible person. I just expected you to be better. You sound insane. I have no reason to be nice to you. You've ruined all the years I put into healing myself. You ruined Jason's childhood and traumatized him enough. You broke up your family. I understand, but could you please call my mom and tell her that you made the whole thing up? My dad fired me when he found out the truth, and now I have nowhere to go, please. You should have thought about the consequences of your actions before you did them. Whatever is happening to you right now is what you deserve. Don't beg me for help anymore, or I promise you I'll make your life worse. You know what? It was a good thing that I cheated on you. Nikki was right. You're disgusting. I don't know what I even saw in you. Glad I helped you figure that out. Stay out of Jason in my life for good. Goodbye." I cannot even begin to describe to you the amount of hurt and anger I felt after that call. I couldn't have ended the call faster. I knew that Damien was a scumbag, but for him to tell me to my face that he had no regrets sleeping with Nikki and letting her hurt my son made me want to throw up. I was beyond glad that I had decided to record that phone call. I sent the recording to his mother. Yeah, I know that was petty, but if he had no shame in admitting that he did not regret breaking our family apart, then everyone else also had to hear it. I quickly blocked Damien's number because I didn't want to hear anything more from him. He'd utterly shattered my trust and all the years I spent healing myself. Jenny told me that she and her husband had officially disowned Damien and cut off all contact with him. She was ashamed of the man that Damien had become and wanted nothing to do with him. I was glad that Damien was well and truly alone. I didn't care if Jenny went back on her word later on, but for right now, as long as Damien felt alone and hopeless, I felt good. Thankfully, staying with my parents has made Jason a lot happier. He's almost forgotten about everything that happened, but I'm still worried about him, so I've scheduled him for a therapy session just to make sure that he's not suppressing any emotions or memories. This whole experience has made me realize that I too need to get back into therapy. So many old wounds have opened up and new ones have been created. The only reason I'm even a little stable right now is because I know I need to be strong for Jason. My parents have been the most supportive and helpful people, and I can't even begin to thank them for all their help. At least I got that huge promotion at work, so I get to spoil all of us, and seeing my family happy is helping me deal with everything a lot better. Everything seems a little bleak for me right now, but I know that things will get better from here on. As long as I can keep my son safe and happy, I'm sure I could go through things that were 10 times worse. Thank you for listening to my story.